Welcome to Unicycle Basics. My name is Finn, and today we are going to talk about the first thing you are going to do on every ride, mounting the unicycle. So for this video, I'm going to assume that you are already capable of riding a unicycle, but maybe you are still using a tree to assist you, or maybe you are still not quite sure what the best technique is. We are also going to give you some tips on how to mount in different situations, on an uphill or on a downhill. So let's get started. The first technique we are going to talk about is the static mount. For this, you want your cranks to be roughly horizontal, or maybe the back pedal slightly downwards, somewhere in between. You're going to put your back foot onto the pedal. You can choose whichever foot you like. In the beginning, you're probably going to find that one is much easier. I would recommend to stick to that and maybe learn the other side later. Your saddle is going to be placed between your legs, and you're going to push yourself over the unicycle from this foot on the ground. One demonstration. It's really important to focus on your body moving over the unicycle, not the unicycle moving under you. Some of you might already do a mount like this. But this really isn't a good technique for mountain unicycling. A static mount is just a much more consistent technique. So, back foot on the cranks, seat between your legs, pushing off the back foot, your body going over the unicycle. You can have one hand on the seat, you can have two hands on the seat, you can have no hands on the seat. I don't think that really matters. Later on, probably the best thing to do is have one hand on the seat, but for the beginning, it's really not critical. Also, a lot of people think because we're not doing a rollback mount, you can't place any weight on this back foot. This is really not true. You can still place some weight on it, just not as much. One tip I'd like to add here is that angling your back foot down can help to put pressure on this pedal, but not make the unicycle roll back. Watch my left foot on the pedal. You will notice it angling down slightly. This helps to pull yourself onto the unicycle, so you can put pressure on it, but due to the angle of the foot, it doesn't actually make the unicycle roll back. Mounting is a little bit easier on a lower seat. I have my seat quite low because that's the way I prefer it. But if you prefer a higher seat, it should be possible on any seat height and on any wheel size. But if you're struggling with mounting a lot, you can maybe try to lower the seat a bit, learn the technique, and then move on and do it on your normal setup. If you're struggling with this, I have two exercises you can do. The first one is stepping over the unicycle. So you're going to start out like you normally would. Back foot on the pedal, seat between your legs. But we're not going to worry about the front foot at all. Normally, your body is going to almost automatically find the front foot onto the pedal. It won't at first, but with a few tries and some practice, you will automatically end up there. But now we're just going to step over the unicycle. The goal of this really is to learn how to move your body over the unicycle. Sometimes it's easier to use too much force and then dial it back from there. So this is what we're going to do here. Really just excessively move your body over the unicycle. Don't worry about the front pedal at all. And second exercise you can do is starting from a step like this rock here. Same as before. Cranks horizontal, seat between the legs. But now it's much easier to push yourself over the unicycle because you're starting from a high ground. Once you're able to do this from a high step like this one, you can move on to a smaller step like this. Same procedure. Make sure you're not using this as a wheel chuck. Your wheel shouldn't rest against this. It should be well in front of it. This is so you can't develop any bad habits of stepping on this bad pedal. One thing you may find is that your front foot isn't going to land on the pedal perfectly. It's probably going to be off in some ways, like maybe almost just your heel on the pedal, or just in the middle. As you progress, you're going to be better at hitting this pedal perfectly, but you really shouldn't worry about this, because you can wiggle this pedal into place. You can do this right after you mount, so mount, then wiggle it into place, mount. Or you can ride off and worry about it later. The best time to adjust this foot is when the pedal is coming down and maybe almost horizontal. At that point you can wiggle the foot, take weight off the foot and wiggle it into place. Ride slowly, almost come to a stop, wiggle your foot into place, ride on. This is one of these things that seems quite hard at first, but after a while you'll look back and wonder why you found it hard in the first place. If you're really struggling to get the wiggling motion, you can practice it while holding onto something. If you can hop already, you should really learn how to mount the unicycle, then start hopping. This is really a great technique to learn, because hopping may help you to regain your balance. Sometimes you're going to have to wait for a few seconds after you mount to wait for the previous rider to move on a group ride, or maybe you just need a moment to consider what you're going to ride down next. So now we are on an uphill section, quite a steep one actually. So when you attempt to do a static mount as you would normally, going into the direction that you want to ride off, you will find that you are actually standing below the unicycle, and this makes it really hard to get onto it. What to do? The first technique you can use is mounting sideways to the uphill grade. Like this. Wheel sideways to the uphill, and now it's like normal. Your feet are in the same height as your wheel. Mount, ride away. One more time. Mount, turn and ride away. This is actually quite a hard uphill. You can go for a bit of riding forward on the grade if there's space, or you can turn right away. The second technique you can do is called a rolling mount. As you could see, we're rolling into the mount, we're taking a few steps and taking momentum into the mount. This will help greatly on uphills, and also it's just really a much smoother and cooler looking mount to do. So to practice it, we're going to go back to the flat. We are back on flat ground, the rolling mount. Helpful on uphills, but also just a lot cooler than doing a static mount. More advanced riders will be able to just walk along and do a mount. As someone just learning this technique, it's really quite hard on the coordination to spot the pedal and find the pedal while you're moving and lining it up with your steps. So to learn it, we're going to make ourselves perfect condition. We're lining it up just as you would a normal static mount, make the pedals nice and flat. And then from this position, just move backwards a few steps. Then you can move forward again, see if it still lines up. It does. Move forward again and mount the unicycle. From the other side, line up your cranks, make it all nice and perfect. Walk backward and then move forward again. This really is just basically a static mount, but you're taking a bit of momentum into it. This will help a lot on big wheels, especially 36-inch unicycles. They can be quite hard to reach the pedals statically, so it's nice to have a bit of momentum to get your body over the unicycle. Also, as demonstrated previously, on uphills it's quite a good technique and just looking cooler. Now, mounting on a downhill. So for this, you're going to find that standing on the downhill actually helps you get over the unicycle. As this is quite steep, you might want to use the brake. My finger is on the brake and we're pulling the brake to stop the wheel. Just as a normal static mount, back foot on the wheel, you can almost sit on the seat now. Push yourself forward, take the back foot, place it on the front pedal, and at the same time release the brake slowly. You don't want to go quickly off the brake as you will just fall off. One demonstration. So that's it for today. I really hope you learned something. If you have further questions, you can ask them in the comments. I'll also link the Unicycle Chat Facebook group and the unicyclist.com forum where you can ask further questions, and there's a lot of riders there who can help you out. See you on the next one. Unicycle Basics is a passion project for me. I'm doing to try and grow this awesome sport. So if you want to help out, the most important thing you can do is sharing these videos with anyone you think is interested in mountain unicycling. Also, like and subscribe on YouTube, so the YouTube algorithm will feed this to as many people as possible. If you want to help out with money and pay for some of the snacks I consumed when making these videos and some of the equipment I got, there will be a link in the description.